All right. Hello. We are so excited to see all of you here. We have a great house full of students interested, and I don't know what our viewing audience is online, but hopefully there's a good crowd out there too, because this is available on live stream. My name is Gail Sutton, and I'm the Director of Student Life. We are currently without an Associate Director related to student media in terms of serving as the primary advisor for that, so I am the de facto MC for the day. But what you're really going to hear from is the student leaders who are going to talk about the different mediums. So in student media, we do have 5 outlets historically, and those include Album 88, and you'll hear much more details from Trayvon about that. The Signal newspaper, Adam will tell you more about that. We also have the Underground, which is Georgia State's undergraduate literary journal, which is published twice a year and exclusively features the content of Georgia State undergraduate students. And Underground also hosts regular writing workshops for undergrad students and regularly hosts readings featuring student contributors from each of the issues. And I don't believe Paula was able to be here today. Paula, you're not in the audience, are you? I don't think so. So we'll do our best to field some questions about Underground, but we may have to get back to you with some answers on that one. But that is a creative literary journal. We also have 2 other outlets which we do not currently have student leadership in. One of those is the NEO Network, NEON, which has been a student-run video-on-demand service within the student media group. And in prior years, NEON has presented student-produced news and variety programming, which, as Adam is about to describe, the Panther Report news side of things is actually being incorporated into the Signal operations. Creative staff served as both writers and directors and were tasked with creating and producing an original NEON production during the school year. NEON has received honors from College Broadcasters Incorporated, the NATES Southeast, and the Southeast Journalism Conference. And NEO Network has provided opportunities for students to develop their news coverage skills via Panther Report, which they can now do in the Signal, including a collection of news reports over the calendar year covering issues and events on campus in Atlanta, all of which can continue through the Signal video operations. NEON staff have also produced a primetime sports weekly sports show, and on the variety programming and short film interests, we are looking for new student leaders to determine what the future of NEON is as a student organization, and utilization of the university's video production equipment will continue to be managed by the student life staff and be made available to the student media organizations. So our final entity is New South, which has been a literary journal produced by MFA and PhD students at Georgia State University, featuring fiction, nonfiction, poetry, essays, portfolios, and book reviews from across the United States. All of the submissions in that publication come from all over the place, some of which might be Georgia State, but maybe other individuals from across the country. In addition to running an annual contest and publishing 2 issues a year, New South has also staged student readings on and off campus and features a select number of outside readers. Previously known as the GSU Review, New South has been publishing new fiction, poetry, nonfiction, and art since 1975. We are currently without student leaders for this graduate publication, and we're looking for new leadership to determine what the future of it holds. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to these fine students because you're really here to hear from students to students in terms of what your opportunities are. So we'll start with Trayvon from Album 88.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing today? Good. My name is Trey. I'm from Album 88. If you don't know, Album 88 is the student-run, student-programmed Voice of Georgia State. We've been on air since 1971, so we're coming up on 52 years of life here on the station. We've been student-run the entire time. We've had the opportunity to break a lot of artists into public consciousness. That's we've had Outkast, Arrested. We were the first to play Outkast in Atlanta radio. As far also Cyndi Lauper, Blondie, Arrested Development, Chris Isaacs. Like we've premiered a lot of people on the air in Atlanta and helped them on their pathways upwards and onwards. The station's done a lot. 50 years is a lot of history to cover, but we've been highlighted by Creative Loafing as best all-around radio station for decades on end. We just have a very, very rich history at the station. We currently are we work in mostly 2 hour shifts, which are volunteer on odd hours, so like 1 to 3, 3 to 5, etc. As you go on, there are plenty of opportunities for new student programming, whether that is a podcast, whether that is a specialty show, which is a radio show that you decide the theme of, we approve, and then you host weekly, and many other such opportunities. We have a large vinyl library, we have a large CD library, we have lots of physical media, and lots of different hardware for you to learn and experiment with at the station as well. I would love for you to come and come down and see us sometime. Pretty much right down the hall, over there across from the what used to be, what was it, the business center or the career services. Um, right across the hall, you can usually hear us. That little speaker right down that hallway, right past the parking and the Panther Card offices. Um, we are a 24/7, 365 operation. Um, we're just very very busy, and we love to see you. We're in need of new volunteers. We should be opening another registration period starting. I want to say, let me see, let me double check my calendar so I don't give you the wrong date. Where did I? Ooh, I'm sitting on it. One sec. We should be opening our next registration period on the 19th of September. That's our anticipated date, and we'll be running that for 2 weeks. We'll also make sure to put out, please join the PIN page so that we can contact you via email through that, so that you'll know when the next open registration period is open. Um, and now I pass it over to the signal.
Was there anything, Gil?
I'm sure we can loop back.
All right. Hey guys. Thank you, Trey. And the Almedia is a great institution here at Georgia State, and I encourage any of you who are into radio broadcasting to I definitely encourage you to check it out. But yeah, my name's Adam, and I am the editor-in-chief at The Signal, the student-run newspaper, which has been in circulation for about 90 years now, ever since 1933. Yeah, we have just like Almedia, a very long and storied history. We've received accolades almost ever since we were in publication, and we're one of the more large and prolific student media organizations on Georgia State. And what's interesting to me sitting here is that although I'm the editor-in-chief of The Signal, my first exposure to student media was almost exactly a year ago, sitting where all of you are sitting right now. I just attended the last year's student media open house, and sort of on a whim and from a few interesting circumstances, happened to find myself as editor-in-chief. So it could happen to any of you. But yeah, the Signal is one of the reasons why I, on a whim, sort of decided to become the editor-in-chief of The Signal is because I realized very quickly after joining it how important it is to Georgia State and to the students. Just like Almedia, The Signal is really the voice of the 50-some thousand students that go to this school. And without us, those 50,000 students wouldn't have a way to represent themselves or to fight back against things that may want to exploit them. And in this last summer, the Signal's undergone a lot of changes. There's been a lot of confusion on the part of both the Signal staff as well as Georgia State, and it's kind of caused us to miss a step. We haven't started production this semester yet, but that is because we're having to rebuild our team from the ground up, essentially. And that process has been ongoing. I'm sure some of you maybe have already applied to the Signal over PIN and are now coming in here. We've had dozens of submissions, which I can't be more happy about. But in terms of sort of what the Signal is about, the Signal releases an issue once a week, covering various different topics from around campus. Inside the newspaper, there are 4 main sections, those covering news, arts and living, opinions, and sports. Each section has its own staff with an editor, with writers underneath them, And that's just for the content that goes into the actual paper. We have just as many, if not more, people in our two other main departments, those being our creative department and our marketing department. The creative department is super essential and is one of the biggest reasons why we haven't been able to come back to print just yet this semester. The creative department consists of our illustrators, our photographers, and our production designer who helps assemble the full thing. Here, I don't have it fully furled out right now, but these are some of the issues we made in our last year here at the Signal. I just wanted to give you all a quick look at them because I think they're quite beautiful. Our previous production designer who was graduated did a great job with his work, but that just suffice to say, what I mean by that is to join the Signal, you don't just have to be looking to be some sort of big, highfalutin journalist. There are so many opportunities here at the Signal, you know, whether you want to work in a creative capacity, whether you want to work in marketing, or you want to work as a journalist. And there's a lot of opportunities there, and the benefits do speak for themselves. For the 90 years we've received all these rewards. We're one of the top newspapers, this side of the Mississippi, student-run newspaper specifically. But so many of our alumni from the Signal have gone on to do great things. A lot of my predecessors work at the AJC or the New York Times, and so working at the Signal is a very it's a very powerful thing to have on your resume. And those are the two sort of main focuses of the Signal, or the two main purposes of the Signal. One is to prepare all of you for positions outside of this school, that positions in any of those departments or any of those fields. But more importantly is to be a voice for the students. And I guess I would say that we have openings in every one of those departments. So if you're looking to flex your creative muscles, or learn how to talk to advertisers and create ad space, or if you're looking to be a journalist, whether that be really going in deep to with investigative journalism, or you just want to get free concert tickets and go review the artists that are there. We have a very wide range, and we have openings in all those departments. And so there aren't enough for perhaps everyone who will apply, so it will be based on your application and a series of interviews. If you want to be a writer, you will have to write a sort of mock story should you want to be considered for a position. But I'd encourage you all to go and apply for any of those positions. Please do go on Panther Involvement Network, PIN, and sign up for the Signal. To make it more easy on me, the person who has to go through all these applications, the way I'd encourage you to apply is to go to our Instagram. Go to GSU Signal, or at GSU Signal on Instagram. Hit that follow button first, and then go to the link in the bio. It's a Google form. It'll have just a basic application indicating what department, and have a few basic questions, and that'll make it a lot easier on me to help to go through it all. But besides that, another part, and Gail alluded to this in the beginning, but another student media organization, Panther Report News, over the summer was sort of folded into the Signal. And Panther Report News focuses on all live reporting around campus. And now that they are part of the Signal, it helps us a lot in being much more efficient and much more capable of reporting on campus events. Should you want to pursue live journalism and video production in that sense. My associate Melissa, who is in charge of PRN, unfortunately wasn't able to be here today, but she's a great person, a very talented leader, and working under her, I can only imagine would be a great time. But as a part of, if you wanted to be part of PRN, that would involve keeping your ear to the ground in terms of events happening around campus, so that if something important happens, we can send you out as a Panther Report newsie to go and take a camera and a microphone, do a live report on it, and then we can have that be written into a story that then comes out in Tuesday's paper. So really, the Signal, don't look at it as just a bunch of people writing essays and doing journalism. There's so many things you can do here. We have a huge staff. I think we have about 25 students on right now, and that's only about half capacity. So, I'd encourage you to apply if that's what you're looking for. And if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer as well.
Adam, thanks, and Trey as well. So, Adam, you've covered this in terms of what happens once you submit an application in terms of the Signal operations. Let's hear from Trey in terms of what happens next after I submit that form.
So currently, we accept forms through PIN. only, and we open up registration during certain periods of time. So the next period, which we'll be opening registration, was again. Let me make sure I don't get the date wrong. Is the 19th of this month. Once you apply um, on that PIN application form, after that you will go through training or graveyard, as we call it. Training or graveyard is it's multimedia now. It used to just be all in person, but now it's a series of videos and instructions on how to do the basics at the station, um, how to turn on the CD player, how to use the record player, how to transition between your breaks and rotation on air, etc. And so that training takes a little bit of time, and then once you finish that training, we move you on to either a graveyard shift or a regular rotation shift, depending on which training program you did. Um, and it's fun. It sounds a little weird showing up to school in the middle of the night to run a station, but it's kind of soothing. It's kind of relaxing. I had a good time like sitting down and writing music, doing homework, whatever between my breaks. It's a really kind of peaceful, kind of tranquil time almost, just to kind of sit by yourself, and because nobody's up really, other than you and whatever late night listeners might be calling in, but it's kind of nice actually. Um, but yeah, so our next registration period will be the 19th, and I think we're gonna open it for 2 weeks. Make sure to log into PIN in that time and put in your application. We will be announcing it on the air, and we will also try to get that incorporated with our Instagram account as well to make that easier for people that use that. But that's mostly it as far as post application work.
So one of the things that's unique about Album 88 is that we have a working relationship with GPB. So GPB is on the air 7 a.m. No, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Every day of the week, right? So our currently enrolled students are the DJs who are on the air after 7 p.m. up until that 5 a.m. hour. So it really is overnight shifts.
And to be a little bit more direct on that, we are 24/7. We are on air at all times, but we share our FM frequency 88.5 with GPB. We are still doing work and have rotation and other things going on during the daytime, but you will only hear that on HD radio and our any live stream. So tune in, I Love Radio, whatever you want to listen to through. We're on the air 24/7, but GPB takes those that 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. more or less drive time daytime schedule as far as the FM station.
Good clarification. All right. So you may have questions. Those who are in the audience, if you have a question, speak it loudly and I will repeat it so that those online can hear the same question that's being asked. But specifically, if you have questions for either Adam for the newspaper or Panther Report News, or for Trey related to Album 88, are there questions that we can answer for you? Yes. And I'll repeat. So the question was, when will the first article be due for the Signal, and deadlines and process on that?
I'm not sure if I invited my current staff to be here just so I could help. Yeah. Sorry, it's hard for me to see. But in terms of that, I'll go into more in depth with my staff after this meeting. But we're planning on coming back the last week of September. So about 2 weeks from today, we'll have our first pitch meeting starting on the Monday, and then we'll hopefully have a paper out the last Tuesday of the month.
Other questions? Down front.
So for both Album 88 and The Signal, are there any previous experience that you're looking for specific candidates, or not really? Like, what are you kind of looking for to be a part of your team, I guess?
Great. So the question was, what are you looking for in terms of candidate applications? What's really going to get you through the door?
We can't discriminate on membership. But what we would like as far as new members, we've been looking into things such as like a photographer, a videographer. We're looking into like web development in order to help with our website, to modernize it, to make it easier to look through and to pass information through. So on our side, really we want you to be you. If you love photography, if you love writing, etc., just like let us know so we can incorporate you into what we do currently. Album 88 is, it's a on-air radio station, but it's a family too. So we really need people to come in and that are interested and passionate about all sorts of things to bring diversity to that family. We always want to make a more diverse image. We want to bring a more complex sound to radio. We want to touch on all types of different interests. And like I was saying with the specialty shows, those specialty shows can be based on pretty much anything as long as you can keep that topic going, and that topic is specific. So we've had shows that are purely drum and bass. We've had shows that are about Jewish musicians. We have had shows that are country, post punk, whatever. Like we do a lot. So there's a spot for you if you're looking. And that's it.
For the signal, I'd say one of the more important aspects we look for, besides just also being friendly and being able to work in a large team and a large group of people, in terms of experience prior to it, depending on which section you want to be in, since there is more applications and spots, the better experienced someone might be, or the better that they present themselves, can determine whether or not that they'll get a position. And we have different sort of we have more sensitive positions, like we're looking for editorial positions in a few departments. And so if somebody shows that they are have prior experience and seem like they have a good mentality for the role, then that'll influence that decision. But besides that, no, it's anyone with any level of experience can come. We have the materials to help train people in all of these fields and departments. And so really don't be discouraged by any lack of prior experience, because no matter what, we'll have a space for you.
I'd also like to say that we do have specific, different branches of the station that do different things. So we have the main station, which is Album 88, which is all the radio stuff. But we also have 88 Sessions, which is our live component. So we do need people that are familiar with AV equipment, familiar with live sound, familiar with photography and videography for that as well. We're trying to expand into podcasts, etc. So we'd have you regardless. But if you're interested in those things, there definitely are opportunities for you to help us grow Album 88.
All right. Standing in the back. Great question. So the question is, what business opportunities are there? There are certainly skills that can be exercised that support the operations of both entities above and beyond the actual production of the content.
Like I said towards the beginning, our creative department is just as important, just as large as our editorial and writing department. Anybody who is interested in that field is definitely encouraged to be there. And with this sort of revitalization of the signal and this attempt to rebuild it back from the state, which it has fallen into in the past 2 years, we're looking to revitalize our business and marketing department. Bring on a large team of students that are dedicated solely to speaking with advertisers who wish to put their ads, their businesses in front of the eyes of the hundreds of students that read the paper. And that is that's a field which I am looking to invest in heavily, and would encourage any of you to join, even if you don't have any experience in it. It's far more important to have the correct mentality and the correct passion for it, because you can be taught all these things. You can be taught how to learn these systems, how to speak with businesses. But I can't teach you to want to do that. So it's all about that to start out.
As far as Album 88, we like I was mentioning with the live show component, there is an aspect of bringing in artists, negotiating times and contract, not necessarily contracts, but negotiating times, slots, and putting together shows and other things like that. Most of our live shows are going to be here through 88 sessions, but once a year we try to do what we call Razfest, which is our live music festival. And there are a lot of business opportunities in there to negotiate with venues, to track down artists and book them, etc. That I or somebody else on staff will be able to help you with if you are interested. As far as stuff going on with the school, also, like if you would like to understand how like business contracts and everything happens through the school to get things funded, there are also opportunities you could work with myself, Gail, and our advisor Jeff to put together and request funding, etc. So there are opportunities to learn the business side of things as well as work on the creative side in the radio station.
We do have some good seats down front if any of you want to make your way over. There's the seating. Question over in this side of the room. Yes. So the Underground is a creative literary journal. It does feature Georgia State writers in terms of the content that's being produced in that. It occurs twice a year. In terms of its publication, usually towards the end of the semester after we've built up the content. In terms of production on that, I don't know. I'm going to look over to the side of the room in terms of Boyd Beckwith, who might have a little bit of information in terms of distribution, how many copies we put out, or any of that. Do we know any of that? Okay. Unfortunately, Paula, who is the media head for the Underground Literary Journal, couldn't be with us today. But if you have specific questions on that, we can certainly gather them after the program, and I will reach out to Paula and get the right answers for you. Yes.
Do we apply for Panther Report News through the Signal as well?
Question was, do you apply for Panther Report News through the Signal?
Yes, you can apply through Panther Report News through the Signal. Currently, on that Google form that I mentioned earlier, that's in our Instagram bio. I need to add a section that says specifically when you choose what section you would like to apply for. I need to specifically state Panther Report News. We have had a few submissions come in where they just type in other, but I'll have that fixed right after we get out of this meeting. But yes, you can go through that same process to apply for Panther Report News.
Any other hands raised in the room? Yes. Sure. So the organization actually does, because it doesn't have student leaders, it needs to re-register as a registered student organization. So first we'll need to get some leaders. It is likely that we may need to move because the organization isn't re-registered, I don't know if it can be found through PIN. If it is available in PIN, if you search for Neo Network in PIN, there should be a join button. You could click on that join button, as well as a contact button. You could click on that, or you can reach out to the student media portal, which is in PIN, and definitely click on the contact button through that and express that you're interested in Neo Network or New South if you're a graduate student. Either way, you can go through the main student media portal if you're not getting any responsiveness because we don't have student leaders in those two entities. But reach out to us, and we'll make sure that the application is in an available space. If Neo Network is not available on PIN, we can certainly make the Neo Network application available via the student media portal. So coming soon. We can send a confirmation on that because you've checked in for this event. We can send you an email afterwards that lets you know the links for all of these great application forms in terms of getting involved in any of the entities, but specifically those that are missing student leaders. Boyd? Oh, great. Very good. Okay. So it should be available. Again, click either contact or join, but we'll do a follow up in terms of application opportunity. All right. Other questions? Oh, okay. Very good.
I'm interested in sports media and sports broadcasting. Is primetime sports included with the Panther Report?
Okay, so the question is about the primetime sports program that was mentioned that has been done historically through Panther Report News connected to that. So will that be coming soon as a part of the new video news side of things?
I'd have to talk to Melissa specifically to get confirmation on that. Like I said, she was unfortunately not able to be here today, but surely, if there are students who want to join Panther Report News and have that interest, then it is something that can be set up and can be spearheaded by anybody who has the will to do so. So yes, to answer your question.
All right. Other questions from anywhere in the audience? These are very bright lights. Yes.
For the paper, the signal, what software do you use?
Great. The question was what software you're producing the newspaper on.
Yes. So I assume you mean like in the creative sense, like where it's all compiled and stuff like that. Yeah. All of these papers right here were created using Adobe InDesign. That's sort of our primary program. That's what we typically stick to. Yeah. I guess that's the simple answer. Huh? Yes, that's true. Yeah, we have people, we have resources that can help you get trained on this on these programs. So if you have an interest in it, but you don't exactly know the full extent of it, don't be afraid. You can still join and get familiar with that programming.
Be sure too to use that student discount or the student account for Adobe as well. That's free for you if you go to technology.gsu.edu. So you can practice on it beforehand. You can use it for your own things, etc. But Creative Suite, I think, is available for free on technology.gsu.edu.
Excellent. One of your many benefits of being a student. All right. Okay. Towards the back. Somewhere. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes.
It's two questions rolled into one. This is for the signal. Are we able to do more long form content, and are we gonna be able to cover more of the governor's race, the Senate race that's happening this year?
So the question is for the signal related to long form stories as well as government topics to be covered.
To answer your question, yes. Simple answer, yes. And sort of more of a long form, as part of this revitalization of the signal, I think in years past we have strayed away from being a newspaper for the students, for the university, and we've almost been playing at being some sort of big important newspaper, which we are, but for a specific setting, that being for the students. And so we want to reorientate not just our news section, our news reporting, but all of our reporting and all of our journalism, focus more on students. And something like the gubernatorial race or the senatorial race, those do impact students to a degree, especially students who are living down here in Atlanta, and all of our students on all of our campuses. So something like that specifically, yes, but certain other things, we have less of a focus on those, global events, unless they do truly affect students to a certain degree. We tend to focus on those less. We tend to hyper focus on the things that are happening here on campus.
Another question down front.
As far as the artistic aspect of both the signal and Album 88, if kind of applying for those positions, would there need to be a portfolio submitted, like for photography or artwork that we have, or is there a certain, I imagine there's a lot of different styles of artwork wanted, but is there anything in particular you guys are looking for? Also, as far as sorry, I'm drawing this out. Like in the newspaper, like I know the covers are, can be color, but on the inside, are you guys color or mostly black and white when it's printed, like that kind of?
Great. So the question was in terms of your submission of application materials, what kind of collateral will you be looking for in terms of a portfolio kind of content for either radio or newspaper, and then the second part of the question you can catch up when you give your answer.
As far as the station, we don't really ask for portfolio or anything like that. As far as photography, videography, etc., it's really grassroots at the station. It's not an established department or anything that for that. So we would be interested in anything that you like to bring to the table because we're lacking in those areas. Um, as far as this doesn't go towards photography per se, but for specialty shows, which is more or less our biggest showcase of like individual style or taste, um, we require a short pitch, more or less, and a short playlist. So it would be 30 minutes to an hour at least of music, and a short description of what you would like your specialty show to be. Um, so whether you want to do country western from the 90s, whether you want to do soundtracks and OSTs, whatever you want to do, it would just have to come in a form of a short description and then a playlist.
Yeah. So to answer your question, when you apply for a creative position, it'll be through that form, and then we'll reach out to you. And we'd obviously like for you to show anything that you may have already done, just so we have a general sense of where you're at in these different fields, whether it be photography or graphic design. But like I've said, you can have no experience in either of those departments, and we still may be able to find a spot for you because we do need just people who are willing to learn these things in that field. And in terms of the paper itself, all of these covers, which are either designed or illustrations, that goes just beyond the cover. Every article that goes in the paper has mainly the majority of them will have a photo attached to them to sort of explain what goes on in the article. And sometimes we do illustrations, but obviously those take more time and effort than one photo. And each of our full-length issues contains the spread, or the sort of focus, the magnum opus, so to speak, of that issue. And those are typically fairly large creative endeavors with illustrations and photos and intricate design. And so, to answer your question, yeah, the entire paper is filled with both. Is filled with work from our creative department, both photo and illustration, and yeah, when you do apply, it'd be good for you to show anything that you may have done in the past, but it's not required.
Other questions? Down front. Great. What is the size of your staff and writing staff in particular for the newspaper?
So, like I said, I joined the Signal just under a year ago. From today, and we've never, as long as I've been here, we've never had a full staff, but our full staff could consist of anywhere from 50 to 70 students. Right now we have about 25, and specifically in our writing and editorial department, just off the top of my head, they would take that would be about 30 to 35 of those students, of which we definitely have positions open in every section. We typically like to have about 6 writers per section. That's 4 sections, that's 24. Each section has its own editor. There is an editorial position that manages all the editors, called the managing editor. And then there's and then there's me at the top. So for the editorial positions, yeah, we have about 30 positions open in there, and we have openings for each section.
Really good questions. All right. So what's the capacity of your staff for the radio?
So let's see. Let me do the math here. So we do 2-hour segments every day for 24 hours. That's 12 segments a day times 7. So there's 84 unique spots per se that you could do. I'd say currently we have about 12 filled. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to pick a slot that works for you. Generally, we hold the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. for our graveyard staff for training purposes. But anything other than that is going to be open. 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning. We have blocked off for specialty shows in the most part. Also, not 3. Sorry, from 7 p.m. to 1 in the morning, we have those blocked off for specialty shows. So that's going to be student-led content. And then from 1 a.m. To 7 p.m. we have our regular rotation. Regular rotation is decided by our music department. They do the majority of the picking as far as like what songs are in current rotation, heavy, medium, or low. But there are also opportunities for you to play things that show your taste during that time as well. We call them U picks. You get 2 of those per hour, per shift. So you could pick up to 4 songs during your shift that you would like to play. Again, we do shy away mostly from Billboard Top 100. We're mostly an alternative college station, so we want to bring things that are a little bit, more on the B side, lesser known, to try and bring more relevance to those tracks. But yeah, we aren't limited to just our radio slots also, because there are other things you could do at the station. There's production. There are opportunities for live DJing, etc. that we have. So 84 is like the soft limit as far as like shifts, but we can do more or less depending on what you want to do.
And my follow-up question to that is, what happens if a shift isn't covered? What's on the air?
If a shift isn't covered, it's just gonna be regular rotation on the air. Again, our music department works really hard to make sure that rotation is good. Every week they're putting in anywhere from like 2 to 10 albums to add to the rotation. And I could pull up some charts for you actually to see what we added recently. Let's see. Because we just did an update last week. So let's see, who do we add? We added of Montreal, MIA, Gorillaz, Domi and JD Beck, Steve Lacy, Nelward, Zach Rosen, Panda Bear and Sonic Boom, Gizzard and Lizard's Wizard, Flume, Mama Larky, Kilo Kish, 1225. So we have all types of artists on there. Hip hop, R&B, not classical, not a lot of classical anyway. We did have a classical show that just left the air recently when our previous GM he just graduated. But yeah, we have a wide mix of music. So there's a place for you to fit in if you have those the creative urges to make your own specialty show.
In the middle? Great. So the question is related to kind of multi-aspects related to the newspaper in terms of can you cross-produce and exercise your skills or expand your skills in many different ways beyond just where you start at?
No, yeah, it's a good question, and yes, yeah, you are more than welcome to work in multiple departments at the Signal. The most important thing is just if you want to take on those responsibilities, you have to be able to fulfill them. We have had in the past, we have had writers write for two sections at a time over the course of the semester, and we've had writers also go out and work in the photography team, getting photos for not only their own stories but for other people's stories. And in terms of that specifically, you'd be definitely able to work both in writing stories in the paper as well as doing live journalism through Panther Report News.
19th of September. We plan to open on 19th of September. Like the Signal, we've also had a bit of a slow start this semester. We're getting in applications for officers now. Hopefully, we'll be able to run through those in the next week, get everybody hired, and then start a new registration period the Monday after next on the 19th. And then we want to run that registration period for 2 weeks, and then there's training after that.
And that is a firm 2 weeks in terms of the application window because it is a very popular opportunity. And so when that deadline comes, that deadline is the deadline on that. I think I saw a question straight ahead in the white. Oh, yeah.
On that subject, we do try to open about 3 to 4 times a year. Usually, we try to do like the opening 2 weeks, then another time, sometime around maybe October, and then again when the next semester opens in the middle of the semester. So again, we'll try this. We're going to open it on the 19th of this month, and there will probably be another opportunity early November, mid October.
In the white T-shirt, straight ahead. So the question was, the student arrived a little bit late and may have missed this part of the introduction in terms of videography production and those kinds of things.
So again, for us, we have our live music component, which is 88 sessions. We need videographers for that. When we have our live shows, usually hosted here in Cinefest. So we definitely need videographers in that respect. And then if we also have been working on doing things like blogs, et cetera, to open up our social media a bit more. So we might have opportunities there as well. But majority just those two things.
And then in terms of the Signal, I can't speak to this as well because Melissa isn't here, but Panther Report News isn't just for having people show up to events and do live reporting. It does also involve longer form content involving anchoring shows, anchoring like news shows, and creating different sorts of packages. And videographers and talent is definitely necessary in that. And I would encourage you, if you wanted to apply through that. I just don't have as much knowledge in that because Melissa, the head of PRN, would have a better grasp of all of that.
I just wanted to clarify also that with the live music aspect, that is also broadcasted live. So it's not only live music, you're broadcasting to a live stream, just like we are currently with the those same cameras, those Black Magic cameras right there.
And Neo Network is historically has been involved in sort of short film production, mini-series, kinds of video production, short stories, and things like that. So we are looking for leadership. We don't currently have student leaders that are taking charge of Neo Network, so that's another opportunity. And again, if you've scanned in for this event, which you can also do online, if you're watching us online, there should be a URL that's been shared in the chat. Feel free to check in because that will get you the follow-up message as well in terms of the links to all of these application forms. There was another question right down front, I think. Yep. So the question is related to podcasts, and how does that fit into the radio cycle?
Okay. So podcasting is fairly new. We were trying to get it off the ground last semester, but we didn't quite get there. So it's something that is going to just kind of be happening in media res. Like we're in the middle of it right now, just trying to figure out how everything is going to flow. I'd assume that for a podcast, it would take more than one session because we don't do live guests for certain. Just because actually we're working on that too, but don't hold your breath on that. But live guests can be what's the word for it? Unpredictable. So we want to protect because we are a FCC licensed operation, we have to protect our license. so live recordings usually aren't allowed. Usually we would have to, go through edit and make sure clear it first before we put it to air. So I would say anything for a podcast would probably take at least a full session of recording, editing, and then bringing it back to the station.
Down front.
I also might have missed this in the beginning if this was already said,
Mhm.
but for Panther Report News and the Signal and Neo Network, is there a registration deadline for the applications?
Sure, we'll review that again. So Panther Report News is now a part of the Signal. We're getting all the news centrally located. And Adam, I'll let you speak to the application timetable on that.
Yeah, so like I said, we've been doing sort of rolling applications. They're open right now, and they will be open. Just I will admit I have had a lot of applications pouring in, but I just sort of go through them all and decide sort of who to reach back to. But if you'd like to apply to PRN or the Signal, the best way and the easiest way for me would be to go through our Instagram. Go to GSU Signal on Instagram and go to the Google form, which is linked in the bio, and that'll keep all the applications much easier for me to read through.
And in terms of Neo Network, if the application is not already open on Neo Network, it will be within an hour after this program. We'll get the link sent. Straight out here. Great. So the question is related to sports analysts and um, student media presence of that, either on the radio station or in the newspaper or through Panther Report News, either way. And is there opportunity to expand beyond just Georgia State athletics into the greater regional area?
As far as Albaniate goes, I personally do not oversee the sports radio section. That would be a question for our engineer or our advisor. Um, but I can get back to you on that. I know that they do a relay for the Panther sports events at the station. There might be an opportunity there for you to work with that gentleman or lady that does that job. But that would be something you have to talk to them through our advisor to do. We don't have much more sports programming than what, as far as like the home games or I think just the home games that are football and basketball definitely are done at the station. Um, but again, we'd have to check in with our advisor to understand how we would link up with the sports team, the sports broadcast.
To answer your question shortly, yes, but sort of more in depth. There is room for sports analyzing both that goes into the physical paper, and that can be done through video. Just sitting down and speaking to a camera. In terms of reporting on Atlanta sports, the Signal has it is able to get press access to Atlanta games, whether that be United games, Falcon games, or Hawks games. And we can send, as a package, a team of two, one with a camera and one with a microphone, should they want to do live reporting at these events or make a package afterwards. There is room for that. And I should say, just on a broader context, a fully staffed Signal will be creating twice as much coverage or coverage and packages as can go in the paper. We have 6 reporters. We have a sort of a maximum or an ideal number of 6 reporters, 6 writers per section, but really only 3 articles go into a paper a week, and so writers will be writing articles, and articles that don't go into our paper will go onto our website, which is another big source of traffic. A lot of people read it, and all of our articles, not just the one, all of our articles go onto our website, and only certain ones that are selected by the editors go into the physical paper. That's at least how it works in a perfect world. But there is room for sports coverage, not just of Georgia State teams, but also of Atlanta teams to a broader extent.
So we are winding down in our hour. You might still have some questions, and I know that Trey and Adam will likely be available for individual conversation immediately following this. If you have questions about the other sources, as I said, if you've checked in for the event, we will send you an email with links to all of the applications for opportunity, or to just ask for further clarification on anything that wasn't clear during this session. So I don't know what our crowd looks like online, but hopefully we've got some viewers there. We certainly have a nice full house here in the room today. So I really appreciate you all coming out to learn more about our student media opportunities for students to get involved and engage with campus life. So thank you very much, and feel free to chat with these gentlemen afterwards. Have a great day. Nicely done.
Yeah, yeah, nice to meet you.
Probably didn't have to check
Did you
it
apply
out.
through PIN?
Yes, and I applied to the form.
Awesome, awesome. I'll go check that. Oh, did you apply to be a writer?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, I'll go through it and I'll reach back to you.